guys, it's been a while. That was a clip from my upcoming single called Ribbons on the Cuffs, and it will be out August 22nd, so watch out for that. I've been away focusing on chilling and hanging out. Honestly, around the time the George Floyd-inspired uprising started happening, I, for one, felt that the podcast needed to take a back seat, especially in terms of what I was posting to my feed. I felt like it needed to take a back seat in terms of what I was posting to my feed. And secondly, I don't know, something just came over me, and maybe it was a result of my blood boiling every day as we saw the true nature and true state of policing in America, on a wide scale, just broadcasted everywhere and all day long. It could have been that I was just quickly, overwhelmed emotionally. I feel a little self-conscious saying it because I do recognize I'm in this privileged position where I can tap out, but at the same time I suddenly felt content not doing anything music or podcast related and just concentrated on relaxing. First I had to delete all my social apps from my phone because I was having dreams about cops and riots, and I was feeling just angry all day and just really tense, so I deleted all those apps. But then I realized I was having a great time just playing video games and watching YouTube all day. Usually I have a hard time focusing and feel guilty about doing that stuff, so there's always this nagging presence in the back of my mind that I need to be productive. But for a couple months there, I just tapped out and plugged in to the chill zone. So I don't know. I slowly started, I started working on music again, and I've got some new podcast episodes recorded. This one's with my friend Ryan from the band Yacht Club, and it was recorded, in May, I want to say, early May. My friend Ryan, I like Ryan a lot. He has a project called Yacht Club. And yeah, I would definitely consider Ryan one of my guys. We met over the internet. I got a DM from him one day saying he liked my music, and so I said, all right, let me check out his stuff. And I immediately recognized it was really good and really strong songwriting and strong melodies. So of course I responded like, yo, thanks man, your stuff is sick too. And it just went from there. We chat once in a while about music and music biz type stuff, so I figured he'd be a great guest for the pod. Also, I'm sure his stuff will get placement in like a car insurance commercial or like an iPod commercial or whatever someday. So, this way I can say I talked to him before he blew up, He's got a new EP out called Nature Machine, and it rocks, so you should definitely check it out on whichever streaming platform you prefer. And on a side note, just some context for our conversation, I mistakenly thought he had been releasing singles, because I was listening to his stuff on his SoundCloud, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it was because I'm dyslexic a little bit, but I just my brain didn't pick up the fact that he had EPs, and I just interpreted it as singles. So you'll hear a few times me talking as if he's only released singles. But, he corrects me, and we carry on with the conversation later within. Anyways, I hope everyone's staying safe and is healthy. Thanks for listening, and it really makes me happy that people enjoy the podcast and people enjoy my music. the other day on Twitter one of my old joke songs from when I used to play in a band called Comps. Before I was Blush Cameron, I had a project called Comps, Comps. And it was just me still, basically. I mean, it was the exact same project, just different name and different aesthetic. The other day, one of those songs went, low scale, viral on Twitter. Is a song called Whack, and it's a joke song. It just uses the lyrics for the one meme that's like, his hair, whack, his gear, whack. If you know what I'm talking about. I posted that song underneath that meme as it was doing the rounds again on Twitter. And I've done that pretty much every time that meme comes to my feed, like 4 or 5 times. And this time, people noticed it and started listening to it. And it got like 1,000 likes. And like 1,000 likes within a 24-hour span. And that was a cool experience for me, something that's never happened before. I've never had that much attention all at once on something. And, I post my music, and it usually doesn't get that much of, like, a response. And usually the first thing I ask myself is, well, maybe my music just isn't very good, and maybe I need to make better music. That'll surely get, more of a response that I'm looking for. But this song is like 3 years old, and I've released, dozens of songs since then. And, it kind of like helped with my self-esteem in that way, like, reassured me that, my music is decent. It's just there's so many other variables when it comes to this music business, when it comes to getting people to notice you and getting anyone to care. It's so, like, luck dependent sometimes, and I don't know why people noticed it this time. I definitely got some more followers and more listeners based off that. People were really into that Pip Pap Pop EP that it's from, because I linked it with that song when people were asking about what it was. And, I don't know if I'll be able to capitalize off that the way, like, a smart person would be able to. But, I don't know. It's so weird. Right after I posted that song on Indie Heads as well. And I think I got maybe a couple more plays off of that, but really nobody noticed it the way they did on Twitter. And it's interesting, there was a lot of people who had never heard that kind of music before, that kind of like lo-fi indie pop type of thing. So they're like, whoa, how'd you get it to sound so vintage? Which is cool. I don't know. I really liked that. I hope I could get more of that someday. But anyways, in the meantime, here's more of my podcast. This one is with Ryan from Yacht Club. Without further ado, please enjoy the episode.
I'm actually in my recording studio, aka my car, right now, so we should be getting pretty solid sound quality.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about that. You had a funny tweet, like, if you want to hear the song the way it's intended, you have to get whatever model car you have. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, the 2010 Jeep, you got to get the Sahara edition. But it's a funny situation, like, with the recording lately, because my lease ran out on my apartment this month, and I'm getting a new house next month with some friends. But for the time being, I'm staying with my parents, and it is a shit show in there because they're all doing work on Zoom. They're all doing work, like, doing their own Zoom sessions, and then I'm, like, trying to record music and shit, so I've just moved all the shit out to the car. It's much easier.
Do you record, like, instruments out there?
Most of the time I record the guitar direct input, so, like, room noise doesn't affect it. But vocals, absolutely. Vocals are always in the car.
You know, yeah, it would suck so bad if I had to record at my parents' house, either of them, just because I like to record in private. Um, but yeah, I've thought about like going out and using my car speakers to mix, because you know I'm sure you're the same. I like to mix on any speaker I can find. You know, like whether it's the laptop or headphones or. And I also don't have
Yeah,
monitors. I don't have like studio monitors.
I have some KRK, like the cheapest KRKs they make, but and they're good for mixing. That's like what I do the first mix on. But the thing that I've come to realize is that like most people who listen to the song are probably going to listen to it through like a shitty Bluetooth speaker or Apple headphones. So whenever I mix a song, I mix it on the studio monitors, but then I make sure it sounds decent through like my shitty Bluetooth speaker. I play it in my shitty car speakers. I play it if I have a friend who has like shittier car speakers, I'll play it through them. You know, because if it sounds good through a shitty system, that's really the test of quality.
Yeah, totally. How's
Yeah.
you? Are you? Did you grow up in Jackson?
Yeah, I've never lived anywhere else. That's the weird thing is I've lived in Mississippi my whole life.
Uh,
So I can't really like compare and contrast living here to living somewhere else. But it's a weird place. I can say that. You know, I've obviously traveled to other places. I've seen other places, and it's a weird place to live in Mississippi. But I will say, living in Jackson's like the biggest city in Mississippi, and it
mm,
really is like best case scenario. If you're gonna live in Mississippi, uh, living in Jackson's probably the best case scenario. Most people I know are from like the fucking sticks, you know, they're from like really
yeah.
rural areas and you're just kind of cut off from the outside world. You kind of live in this like isolated community of like 3,000 people. And so I'm grateful that you know, I have like all different types of friends and I've had like exposure to different food and shit, you know, cuz not everybody here has that. I don't hate Mississippi at all. I mean, it's cheap. It's the cheapest place you can possibly live, too.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never been. Is there like a scene down there in Jackson? Like a
No,
music scene?
I remember you mentioning you might ask something about like the Jackson scene, and I was like, shit, what do I even say? Because like, it's kind of a struggle city. It's kind of like an off-brand Memphis. Kind
Uh-huh.
of a lot of the same problems you see in Memphis or you see in Flint, you'll see in Jackson, but like on a smaller scale because it's a smaller city. It's really not like an indie rock friendly city. You know, we have like these DIY venues that pop up throughout the years, and they usually don't last longer than like 2 or 3 years. They usually just kind of like fizzle out. Um, the DIY indie scene in Mississippi mostly resides in the college towns.
Oh, I
Um,
see. What are those?
yeah,
What towns are those?
so like all the big colleges in Mississippi, none of them are in Jackson. You have Mississippi State, which is in Starkville. The one I go to is called Southern Miss, which is in Hattiesburg, and they're
Hmm.
actually known for their punk like house show scene. It's actually like got a thriving punk rock house show scene that even like Pitchfork is written about, and
Oh,
it's a small
interesting.
town, so it's kind of
Are there
weird.
any like notable bands that you could think of that I should
Judy
check
and the
out?
Jerk, yeah, Judy and the Jerks is from Hattiesburg. I think they're just on Bandcamp. I Jammy, it's like the word I like IYE and then Jammy. They're really cool. I'm not a big punk guy, but I've like kind of gotten into it since moving to Hattiesburg. But my favorite scene in Mississippi is in Oxford. That's where the school Ole Miss
Oh,
is.
you know that
And
band? Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say Oxford is cool because like that's where Fat Possum is out of, which you know is Hoop's record label.
Mm-hmm.
And they sign a lot of cool bands. A lot of cool bands will stop through and play in Oxford just because there are cool venues, and they're probably stopping by to talk to Fat Possum or whatever. And but for the most part, the scene in Jackson, dude, it's like a pass through city. You know, bands will pass through on their way to New Orleans or on their way to Texas or Memphis or wherever, and they might stop and play a show in Jackson. But it
Do
doesn't
you
really get a lot
remember?
of attention.
Do you remember that band Young Buffalo from Oxford?
Young Buffalo from Oxford. I feel like I met their lead singer one time. I remember someone telling me
Yeah,
that they were in Young Buffalo.
he plays in Swear Tapes now. You familiar with them?
He plays in who?
Swear Tapes.
I'll have to check them out. How'd you meet him?
I haven't talked to him in years, but I was playing in a band and we went on tour with them. His band Young Buffalo, and they're from Oxford. So I mean, I was just re-listening to them recently. You might like it. I mean, it's kind of like Coachella indie pop, but
Yeah,
it's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know.
Oxford's
We
cool.
toured with them.
Oxford's got a lot of cool artists and like projects that I'm a big fan of. Like Low Noom is my friend Andrew Newman. He's got a project coming out next week that's probably going to be really, really good. He's a super talented dude. He does everything himself.
Yeah, I just learned about him. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just the other day when I was revisiting Young Buffalo, I came across his stuff and noticed he was, because in Spotify the people who listen to this artist listen to this artist, so I was just going through that way. And yeah, I was just like, what is Oxford? It's
not even a big town. It's a small town. It's just got the school there. And I'll admit, like, it's kind of like a rich kid school. Like it's kind of a lot of people with privilege, but some people use that money positively and record music or whatever. Some people are just normal people though that go to that school that I know. That's how Andrew is.
Mm-hmm. Could you see yourself ever moving out of Mississippi?
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. Eventually, I just don't want to make like too big of a step. Like moving from like Mississippi to LA seems like it would be crazy. I had a friend who used to work in LA, and I visited him one time. Like he was literally in like West Hollywood, like, and I was like overwhelmed by it. It didn't seem like anything I would ever want to like anywhere I would ever want to live.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of like it in Mississippi, but I understand like I'd probably have to move somewhere with like more going on musically.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing about moving out of Mississippi is it's tough like financially, because like I said, this is the cheapest place to live. Like right now I got a 2-bedroom apartment for like $700. Like I can't do that anywhere else.
2 bedrooms for you could swing that in Philly, which sounds crazy, but you can. Yeah, my rent is $365 and it's a 3-bedroom.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon. It's pretty easy to find something like that.
I got to start looking around. I'm still in school right now, so that's the next step is after I finish school, because that the graduation date's kind of indefinite.
Yeah, what do you go to school for?
My major is actually called entertainment industry studies. It's kind of vague. We just kind of study like media. It's fun. I mean, it's like a majoring in the internet basically is what I do.
Interesting. That's
making
must
videos.
Be why you got a little bit of internet traction, because you do. And one of my questions is like, how have you gotten to where you are with like your plays on SoundCloud and your Spotify listeners and stuff, having not being in Mississippi where like there's no like scene to propel you per se.
Yeah, I realized early on, like without the scene being here to propel, it was gonna have to be internet based. Some of these artists that you come across, like you see how they're just doing so well algorithmically. Like every app you get on and they're like being recommended to you, and I couldn't help but wonder, like, well, how did they get to that point? So that was kind of the goal. Is like I didn't want to just like enter the job world with just a degree, because like a lot of people have a degree, and my major is kind of easy. It doesn't really say a lot, so I kind of wanted something else to like speak for me as a musician, or for me as a manager, or whatever I want to do in the future. So I wanted it to get added to some Spotify playlists and just some stuff to get a little bit of affirmation from. But it did better than I expected to, and now I don't really want to get a job at all. I kind of want to just keep making music.
Are you like making like a decent amount of money from streaming and whatnot?
I was waiting tables at 2 different restaurants to like pay rent and stuff, and then I narrowed it down to 1 restaurant.
Wow.
And then like 2 months, I was just making more from Spotify, so I quit one. And then like 2 months before quarantine, I quit my other waiting job, and I was just doing music like full time. And I kind of told myself, like, if I'm going to quit all my jobs and just do music full time, like, I'm going to have to really like force myself to do it like all the time, or else I'll feel really guilty. So, I mean, I was spending a lot of time on music, like 2 months before quarantine. Like, I was basically quarantining myself at home, like 2 months before the mandated quarantine,
Uh-huh.
because I was like just trying to get a lot done. And then it became the law, and I was like, well, now I really have incentive.
Yeah, damn. That's the dream, though. Maybe I need to switch to releasing singles. Is that like part of the thing? Is you got to release singles, or like what's your like process for? I mean, we'll talk about your writing process, but what's the process for getting people to listen online?
Online, let me think. So, you really gotta. I had to like sit on my songs for a while. Like I made the first songs for Yacht Club, and they kind of sat on my computer for like 6 months before I put them out. And I was just really kind of familiarizing myself with every group out there that sounded like that. And I would follow them on social media, and I would follow them on SoundCloud and Spotify and listen to them a bunch. And I would start like noticing what playlists they were in. And it's kind of good to know that before you put any music out, because a lot of people just get excited to have music out on Spotify
Yeah.
or whatever, and they just slap it on there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of study the scene and you kind of study what playlist your type of stuff is getting added to, you at least know where to aim. You're not just shooting with the blindfold on. That I think that helped. I was just kind of busy at the time too. I wasn't really being strategic about it. Like it wasn't really holding on to the songs because I felt like I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
I was just busy with school, and I didn't really have time to like figure all that out. So I got familiarized with the scene, and then I knew what I was aiming for by the time I put it onto Spotify. I don't really get the views, so sometimes I come across way better bands, I feel like, and they have like way less views, and it just makes me want to message them and be like, look, you gotta like do this or something, because there's way better people out there. I don't really get the views thing.
You know what's ironic for my situation is like when I started really recording music, like
Yeah.
2008, is like what I wanted to do was just make singles and write one song at a time and then just post it, as soon as I finish it. And, at the time, that was just not a way to get traction at all. And even, like, up until, like, I don't know, like 2015, I would say, like, it was still, like, you gotta release albums if you want anybody to pay attention. And, now that
I didn't know you've been recording since 2008, dude. That's a while.
It's embarrassing.
No, dude. It's, I started listening to comps in, like, 2018, I want to say.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I fell in love with comps. Like those songs are just so easy to like after like one listen. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that when you messaged me and that your music was also very good. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things these days is just like meeting new people and surrounding myself with people who are very good at what they do.
Well, dude, that's one thing I've noticed is I've followed you since like 2018 on social media, and you know how Twitter has that feature that tells you mutuals or other people that people follow that you follow or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I've always noticed like Blush Cameron followed by Kevin Crowder, Drew, and Keegan, and I'm like, what the fuck? Was he in Hoops or something? Like,
Uh-huh.
and I've always been kind of confused about that until that episode you did with Kevin Crowder.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a small world when you're not living in Mississippi and you're...
Dude, it is. Yeah, when you're not living in Mississippi. Well, no, it is a small world when you're living in Mississippi, too. Trust me. It's actually even smaller.
Yeah, right.
But,
I mean, it's just a different type of small. I mean, like... It's, so, yeah, I've just been lucky enough to meet people and make friends, but...
that's cool. I got to see Hoops in, like, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing, like we were talking about Oxford earlier. They were playing an Oxford show, and dude, I had wanted to see Hoops for like 2 years at this point. I had been listening since their like demo, Bandcamp, YouTube days, and like I was so stoked to be there. I think I got kind of too drunk. I feel like Kevin Crowder was like creeped out by like how enthusiastic I was to be there. But
they're so down to earth. I mean, I'm sure
they're very cool guys. That's probably why they were like freaked out is because I was like, but it
How
was a
did
great show.
how did you get into music in the first place? Whether it's like
So,
alternative or like what was like your first band that you were really into?
uh, like my parents, before they had kids, were like way more into music than they are now, and they still have like their CD collection, mostly from the late '80s and '90s. And when I was a kid, I had like a little CD player in my room, and I would like listen to their stuff. And I mostly just listened to like stuff with cool art on it because I was a kid. And I think the first band that I like fell in love with, the '90s band Granddaddy. I listened to that
Mm,
album, The Software Slump, and it was just kind of like the first music that sounded surreal to me. Like it didn't really sound real, it sounded like its own thing. That got me into like just like any type of music that sounded surreal, I guess I would say.
uh-huh.
I'm trying to think of what else weird stuff I would listen to back then. I made friends with this guy named Grant though, like when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and he like understood how to work LimeWire and Pirate Bay and
Very
Napster and like
nice.
all that stuff.
Hell yeah.
And so we would make like CDs, and we thought we were listening to like really underground stuff back then, but we were probably listening to like the Gorillas and like but we were kids, so we were doing better than most kids, I guess.
Dude, yeah, LimeWire was so sick.
I still remember it. I remember the exact format and everything about it. Like it was so cool. A
Were
lot
you
of
on
people actually blew up off of LimeWire.
Yeah, I mean Soldier Boy, that's like one of the most inspiring stories.
Soldier Boy is from Mississippi, believe it or not.
Oh, there's funny coincidence there.
Yeah, another wait, what'd you say?
Funny coincidence.
Yeah, another rapper from Mississippi that blew up on Napster actually, Afroman. If you've ever heard of him, he sings that song
Yeah.
Because I Got High.
Yeah.
He lives in the same town as me now. He lives in Hattiesburg. Apparently, he
Whoa.
lives like in the same area.
Hometown
But
hero.
yeah, his story is crazy, man. He like he burnt these CDs of his album, and he went down to Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and he was trying to sell them to people, but club owners kept kicking them off their space, and they were like, "Dude, there's no soliciting here. You can't sell CDs." And he kept getting like told to leave. He kept getting pissed off, so he just started like handing out CDs to kids on the street. And these like drunk college kids got in their car and put the CD in, and the first song was Because I Got High. And they were like, holy fucking shit, like this is gold. And they uploaded it to Napster. And basically like he woke up the next day and was like famous online.
Wow.
And that was
That's awesome.
98 or 99, so he was like one of the first artists to like truly go viral.
That's insane. That's a great story.
Yeah, I heard him tell that story in like an interview. I just thought that was interesting.
Were you on like MySpace at all?
I think I might have been a little too young for MySpace.
Mm.
I remember when Facebook blew up, and I think I might have even been too young for Facebook when it first came out. I made a Facebook and then deleted it because my parents were on there and like all my extended family,
Yeah.
and I was
That's
like,
the problem.
this seems like it defeats the purpose of social media. This isn't what my social circle looks like. This is my family.
Definitely, yeah. Do you have siblings?
I have a younger sister named Rachel. She's like 5 years younger than me. She's a senior in high school, graduating. She's not into music or anything. She's
Interesting.
into her own stuff. But yeah, just one
So
sibling.
so when did Yacht Club start, and was that your like first like real musical project, or was there anything before that?
There was a lot of stuff before that. My project before Yacht Club was called Amateur Observer, and I put that was mostly on SoundCloud. That's actually the reason Yacht Club has a decent amount of followers on SoundCloud is because it used to be Amateur Observer. And I don't know what happened. I think I just got insecure one day and I like deleted all my songs.
Mm.
But they were mostly instrumental, and they were just
Okay.
stuff that I recorded in my room. And then I had posted like demos and stuff before that just by my real name, Ryan Kaiser, which has mostly all been wiped out. I think Yacht Club was like the first music I posted that I was like truly confident about.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making that in like late 2018, and then it didn't come out until January of 2019.
Interesting. And did you have any sort of like intention behind Yacht Club, or you just wanted to make? Oh, I guess you already said you wanted to. Since you're going into the entertainment field, anyways, you wanted to have something.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to have something like that I created that I could like call my own. Uh, and I also just had like more time on my hands. You know, I was really busy with school, and then I think I hit a semester where I wasn't that busy, and so I just had more time. And I kind of have like a built-in guilt mechanism. You know, if I'm like not doing enough with each day, like I start to feel like guilty or whatever. So I started recording songs, probably mostly because of that.
Do you think you're gonna release like an album, or just stick to
Well,
singles?
an album was my plan. So I was planning on, because I've done 3 EPs now, and so it naturally kind of feels like time for an album. And that was my plan. And then I started working with Nice Guys Records out of France,
Hmm.
and I talked with them a little bit, and they were like kind of feeling another EP. They wanted me to do another EP, which I don't have any problem with that. I personally like EPs better because I think I'm kind of ADHD, and I like to kind of, you know, I don't like to sit down and listen to the same artist for like an hour and a half or whatever. So EP is just like a nice amount of music for me, you know, like 30 to 45 minutes. And obviously it's easier to make because it's less songs. They were more
Yeah.
interested in doing an EP. So I had a good bit of songs at the time, and I kind of like narrowed it down to my favorite. And so there's a 5-song EP on the way that's going to come out in July.
Is it like similar style or?
It's a similar style. I didn't want to like go crazy and change it up, you know, a ton. But I tried to make it more consistent from song to song. You know, I didn't like experiment with new instruments or any weird stuff. I used the same instruments in every song to make it a little more cohesive and consistent sound wise.
Yeah.
And then it's got more acoustic guitar, real drums. It's less
Oh.
quantized. You know, everything in the past, like if you listen to Japan, for example, it's super quantized. Like I go back in post and I like, you know, make everything right on the transit. But this, I kind of left it a little more natural, a little more human sounding, I guess.
What DAW do you use?
I just use Logic. I had to download it for school in like 2015, and I've used it
Uh,
since.
uh,
Yeah, I love Logic. I wish I could say Pro Tools, be all pretentious and whatnot, but no.
Hell, I just use GarageBand.
Oh, really?
And then I
I
sometimes will
think,
use a little bit of Logic for certain stuff.
yeah, dude. I mean, sometimes being limited, uh, technologically, you know, it forces you to be more creative in
Yeah,
the
and
songwriting and the creating side.
I'm like not very good at. My brain doesn't really like keep track of like all the information that I need, and I'm not very good at like retaining information with audio stuff. Even though it's like what I'm pursuing as like a career, it's just I don't
Dude,
know. It
same. I,
my thing with GarageBand is just it's so streamlined and simple. You know, it's like
so
there's
you did
always
all the
some.
comp stuff on GarageBand, all the comps in Blush Cameron?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, I mean, GarageBand is
That,
just like whenever I use Logic, there's always something. I'm like, oh, why isn't this working the way I want it to? You know, it's very. I never have that
yeah.
problem with GarageBand.
Shoot, I can't believe you did all that stuff on just GarageBand. That's crazy because I take classes with these guys who are kind of like, I guess you call audio nerds or whatever, but they've bought all these plugins and they spend like hundreds of dollars on like plugins and effects and different things, and then they make like zero music. They make no music,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I do not understand it like for the life of me.
I'm so not a gearhead. I know people that are like super into their pedals, and it's just like not for me.
Dude, that's refreshing to hear because I am the exact same way. I try to keep the setup as simple as possible.
How did you learn how to write a song?
Uh,
Did it come naturally, or was it just like practice?
I guess yeah, because like no one ever like sat down and taught me per se. I took guitar lessons to learn guitar when I was a
Mm.
kid for a little bit, but songwriting, uh, around let's say I started doing stuff on GarageBand around like 2011, 2012 or so, and I would just record instrumental stuff. Like I would usually record the guitar first and like add drums and bass and stuff to it. And so I guess around that era, I would start kind of making up words and stuff for it. But I was in like, 10th grade at the time, so I wasn't really trying to like be an artist. I was just like a high school kid. I don't know. Looking back, I wish I, made more stuff, and I wish I didn't delete it and and all. But
Is it all? Is it totally gone forever, like off your computer and everything?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm like 2 computers removed from the computer it was recorded on. Like, yeah,
I've done pretty good, thankfully, of like keeping a lot of my really old stuff. But there's definitely like stuff even older that I wish I had but don't.
Yeah, I'm bad with like understanding how iCloud works and the cloud in general. Like, sometimes I accidentally delete old shit just trying to like make more room in my iCloud, and I got to be more careful with that because I just deleted like a ton of sampler instruments that I use on the regular, just trying to make more iCloud space.
Yeah, dude, man.
But
so what's your like writing process like now? How do you start writing a song? If you're gonna write a song right now, how would it happen?
So usually, I'm not gonna write the song like on guitar or on piano like beforehand. Usually, I kind of just like make it up as I go. Guitar is my first instrument, so usually it's like the first one that I record when I make a song, and I'll start with that, and then I'll kind of work around that. I'll add whatever instrument comes to my head first, which usually it'll be like the bass line or the drums. I'll work with the metronome until some drums are in there, and once some drums are in there, I can turn that off, and I kind of just add a lot of parts to the song to where there's like 8 different tracks playing or so, and then I kind of break it down and arrange it into a format. I kind of decide what's going to be the intro, and then this will be the verse, this will be the chorus, and then I mean it's kind of similar to how rap is made. They make the beat first, and then they come up with the lyrics. I make the song first. And then I usually come up with the lyrics after.
So you really write with the DAW, basically.
Yeah. And I do it all by myself. Some people want to like collaborate and make songs together, and it kind of gives me anxiety because I don't really know if like I would do well in that context.
Yeah, that's I like started with a band, I was like in middle school or whatever, and then switched to solo when that band wasn't working out and just made my own songs. And then eventually I, joined bands again. And for the second time as an adult, I realized like this is just working with people is fun, but it's so much more like logistically demanding. It like takes so much more time to get anything done, and there's so much more risk that all that time isn't going to be satisfying when you're finished.
Exactly. And being from Mississippi, you got to weigh in the fact that a lot of the other musicians that are available for you to work with, they might be into country, they might be into some completely different type of music, they might have a completely different vision. I've always been jealous of like people from big cities just because they have such a multitude of like people to choose from. Like,
right.
You hear about bands that get their bass player from like Craigslist and shit. If I put a Craigslist ad up for a bass player, like I would get murdered.
Yeah. My bass player I got off of Facebook just posting, I need him. And I didn't know him before. And it worked out. So, yeah, that's real. You should do like a behind the scenes video of like your songwriting process. That sounds interesting.
Dude, I honestly should because I have more time than I've ever had. I mean, I'm not playing shows.
Yeah, just get a little tripod for your phone or something.
That's smart. I honestly should because I see these videos of people. They have like their little home studio or whatever, and all they do is they that Function Space guy, the band Function Space, that Emilio is his name on Twitter. He does these little videos of him like recording at home, and it's never anything that crazy. He's like recording guitar and some drums and some bass, but people lose their fucking mind. He's got like 1,000 retweets on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I always think like nothing against this guy, like he's great, but I could definitely do this shit. Why
Oh
am I not
yeah,
doing this?
yeah, you could, yeah. Um, so you mentioned you're not playing shows right now. Obviously, were you before? And like, didn't you have a show in LA that got canceled or something?
Yeah, I was just about to start playing shows. I've played 2 Yacht Club shows so far, and they were both little solo sets. The first gig I played, I mentioned Low Noom, my friend Andrew. I played a show with him, and that was at Proud Larry's, which is actually the same venue I saw Hoops at. So I played that show, and then I played a show in my college town at this place called Nick's Ice House, and we have like a student-run record label at the school, and they like put on the event and had like they promoted it and made like posters and stuff. So that was kind of cool. And then my next gigs that I had lined up, were going to be at South by Southwest. I had 3 shows there. 2 were unofficial, and 1 was official with like Burp FM.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, those obviously all fell apart, and I was like super upset about it at the time because this is like when Corona was first like hitting the U.S.
Yeah.
and it wasn't really a big deal, or it didn't feel like a big deal at the time. And then they canceled it, and I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? No!" And then like 3 days later, I kind of watched the news, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But so yeah, I was gonna play at South by, and then the gig in LA was at Pomona College at this little like amphitheater they have, and I was gonna be with the bands Far Caspian and Toledo, and I like both those bands, so I was looking forward to that one. And I like just getting out of Mississippi. So
Yeah, yeah. Were you gonna fly out there?
oh yeah, I was totally gonna fly.
Um,
It's really not that expensive, honestly. Like Spirit Airlines, just shitty airline out of New
yeah.
Orleans.
Damn, I want to go to LA. I have a
Have you ever
friend.
been?
No, I haven't been. I've got a couple friends that moved out there though. Last year,
Yeah.
they only lasted out there for about a year, and then they moved back to Michigan, where we're from. And but
Yeah, my friend
yeah,
had an internship out there, and like I remember visiting him, and it was just like people living on top of people for like thousands of dollars more than what I was paying.
do you think you'd like? Have you ever tried talking to like publishing companies, or like is that something that you would be interested in pursuing with your own music?
Um,
Publishing deals.
it's more recently, yeah. Actually, odd. It's weird you asked. Like, talking to one like 2 days ago, but they're connected to Nice Guys Records. They're connected with the label that I'm working through right now,
Mm.
and they sent me this like little deal showing who they've worked with, and it's a lot of artists I'm a fan of, like Miel de Montagne. I don't really know how to say his name. He's French, but he makes really cool music, and they just got like some of his stuff on like Adidas and Thrasher commercial, I
Wow.
think, and they messaged me something about it. I mean, a lot of like travel vlog people are always using my songs. A lot of like people who ride bikes and like skateboards and snowboards, shit like that, like action sports people tend to like it. So I would like to get some publishing deals now that live shows are apparently not a thing.
Dude, I finally was supposed to get one of my songs in like a YouTube video. My buddy, who's like a skate vlogger in LA,
Yeah,
he has like, I don't know, 150,000 subs or something like that. And
yeah,
I didn't talk to him in years, but he hit me up because I made a music video with one of his skate friends. And so he heard that and was like, "Yo, can I use your music in my video?" I was like, "Yeah, please. I wish you would." And the video comes out, and there are 2 other songs in the video, and
yeah.
then a big silent gap. So I
Did they
think
forget to put the song
I
in?
think he just forgot to put the song in, and I didn't want to like be like, "Yo," I didn't want to say anything about it. Um, So
Damn.
that's my one experience with that. The other songs in the video were good though, so I hope people just think that the other songs are me too, and still click the link anyways.
Was it a comp song or a Blush Cameron?
It was a Blush Cameron song. It was 4 odd words.
Is that your real name?
No, my real name is with a
Oh wow, okay, dude. I thought Blush Cameron was your real name. It says first name Blush, last name Cameron.
no. Yeah, it's like a
Uh,
stage name.
That's a good name, man.
to add
I'm
some
not good at coming up
mystique.
with good names.
Yeah, it came to me in like a dream. Like
Oh, really?
not even in that order. It came as like Carmen Blush was the first. Like it came to me like when I was half awake, and I was like,
Okay.
oh, that sounds kind of cool. And at the time, I was trying to do a little bit of like emo trap stuff for
Yeah.
fun. I was like, oh, that'd be a good name for that. And then you know,
It all came together.
as I continued thinking about it, it kind of morphed into Blush Cameron. But yeah,
That's dope. Sometimes I come up with cool names and stuff, but then I forget about them like 10 seconds later. I need to just like start a book or something. Just
dude,
start
yeah,
selling them
coming up
online.
with band names is so hard. It's like one of the hardest parts about making a band.
Dude, it is, and changing your band name is hard. I tried to change
Yeah,
Yacht Club like 1 month in because I was having some regrets. I don't even remember what I was trying to change it to, but my distributor like would not let me. They were like, "No, man, you're set in stone."
wow. Um,
So
how do you feel
it's
about it
whatever.
now?
Oh, it's fine. It's whatever. I mean, it's easy to search on Spotify because YOT is technically like not a word, so not a lot of other people try to use it. So when you type it in, the name comes up pretty quick. I guess
Yeah,
that's a benefit.
that's definitely true. Um, but yeah, dude, I think like I don't know. I'd love to. Do you would you do you have any interest in writing songs for other people?
uh, that would be cool. It would depend on who it was. I don't know. Like being a songwriter, that's an interesting job because I don't know. I mean, when you write a song for another person, how does that work? Do they have to like approve of your song and be like, "Oh yeah, I love it," or
I
are they
don't
kind of
know.
obligated by the label to sing the song you write for them?
Well, I think that like you just like I think the labels go to publishing companies maybe, and then like have demos that they pick from. I don't know, but it is
Yeah,
interesting hearing like the demos of like hit songs that were written by the songwriter and like recorded with the songwriting doing all the performing. Uh, like there's the demo for Britney Spears' "Toxic," um, written by this
yeah. Oh,
songwriter.
really?
Yeah, and it sounds so cool.
Well, dude, that vocal melody in the chorus. Now that I'm thinking about that song, is actually just like amazing.
Dude, yeah, yeah, you should check out the demo. It sounds sick.
I'm definitely gonna do that. Songwriting these days is super weird because I feel like I mean, so many songs are blowing up on TikTok, and it's weird to think about how much money people are probably making off of TikTok. Like, there are people like writing songs with the intentions of like going viral on these apps, and it's just weird to. I don't know that I could do that. I don't know that if I could like
Yeah,
sit down and write a song that's like, all right, we're gonna break TikTok on this one, like
yeah, yeah. I can't do that either.
yeah,
Do
you got to
people
have a different mindset for that.
do people get money off of TikTok streams when their song is used?
Um, at first they did not, and that was a big issue. I remember I actually had to do like a project on this like last year when TikTok was just getting popular, and people were getting ripped off. And I think they've added a new feature since then. And like whenever a song is being used, there's kind of like a music note down at the bottom, and it says the name of the song and the artist. And I think it may count as like a stream, like it would on Spotify.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it used to just be like a big fuck over for artists, I think.
Huh. Do you listen to your own music at all?
I do. I used to not. Like I said, I used to be kind of insecure about my music, but I guess getting positive affirmation from people, it definitely helps, to see it in a new light. Uh, I listen to more established artists that, record in actual studios, and I'm like, man, I wish my music could sound more like that. But then if it sounded more like that, it wouldn't be what it is. So I listen
Yeah,
to it now because I've accepted it.
yeah. Would you rather like write hi-fi or produce hi-fi sounding songs?
Uh, I mean, if it meant I had better gear in my house, I guess so. I just like recording in my house. I wouldn't want to like. I would not ever want to rent studio time. I feel like I couldn't. That's like taking a time to test. I'm gonna do worst
Yeah,
on a time test because of the anxiety of the time. So I don't ever want to rent studio time. Uh, Recording, if you're signed to a label, you have access to the studio. I don't know. I've never actually recorded in that environment. I don't know how I would do. Trying to think
Yeah,
of it, like,
I've
because
never
I'm
been.
pretty. Do what?
Go ahead. You're pretty what?
I'm like always good about like if I need to play a part over again, like I'll force myself to do it. I'll play the same part like 20 or 30 times to get it right. So I don't know how I would feel if there was like an old man like producer like telling me to do it again. I'd be like, dude, I know, like just let me do it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's nice just being right there in front of the computer and just press space bar yourself, redo, you know.
yeah, and that way you can like jump around. And I mean, especially for someone like you who writes. I mean, I guess it'd be one thing. I guess you could always demo at home, and then you know what you're going to do in the studio. But I feel like uh, shit. What was I going to say? Fuck. What was I saying?
You're talking about recording alone like versus recording like with the crowd of people just kind of like telling you what they think and all. But
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been happy recording um, with other people. But yeah, the other thing is when you're recording at home, like you can do it whenever you want, right?
oh yeah, yeah, I'll be sitting on the couch watching TV. This is how it was with the song Japan. I remember I just hearing that melody in my head like out of nowhere, and I just went, you know, straight to my bedroom and recorded it.
Wow.
And, you know, wouldn't have that luxury if it was a studio or whatever. I
And it
think
all,
it'll keep moving that direction. You know, studios are going to kind of become more, they're not going to become completely irrelevant, but they're going to become more irrelevant for sure.
yeah, and it costs so much money too.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
I try to keep my costs at zero.
Oh, yeah, my cost, I mean, my interface that I use, like I had a friend who got a nicer interface, so they gave me their old one, and I've been using that like the whole time. It's just like a Scarlett, a Focusrite Scarlett, like the one that everyone has.
I'm using a hand-me-down interface as well. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I have an Lexicon Alpha. Uh, I don't know some other words, some other number there. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
always like thinking to myself, maybe I should upgrade my audio interface, but it's just such a boring thing to buy. I'm like, nah.
yeah, I could use a new one too, but it's just there's always something else that I'd rather
Yeah,
spend
yeah,
money
yeah. There's
on.
like rent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you do you have any music videos? Are you going to make any?
I would really like to. That's another one of those things that kind of takes money and
Yeah.
time, and like it is one of those things. If I'm gonna put out a music video, I want it to be really good, or at least really enjoyable. Not like
Yeah.
really. I don't mean like high production costs, like action scenes, like crazy shit going on. Like I just mean like I want it to like really fit the song. Some
Yeah.
people like in the DIY world, you know, they'll put out a video and it just kind of feels rushed. It kind of feels like they just like kind of wanted to get it out there really quick. I don't want to do anything like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how on my last album I made a few music videos just to, I wanted to see if I could do it, And they're not like
Yeah.
they were done, I just with my iPhone and having my friend, hold the
Yeah,
camera.
that's the thing is you can do it. You can do a really good video on an iPhone as long as like the concept and the idea is like good enough.
Yeah, it's hard
So
though.
that's yeah, it's so hard. I have some guy who makes like lyric videos for me. He like puts the lyrics at the bottom of the videos, and he apparently uses like all analog gear, and that's his thing. Is like he uses really old gear, and all his videos are like extremely lo-fi. He did one for the Bay, and he's doing one for a new song that I have coming out, but it's kind of taking a while to get it back to me. I don't know if I'm gonna get it back.
A couple of your recent songs are instrumental. Is that intentional or just because you're at home now? Or
Oh, you mean like on SoundCloud?
yeah,
Oh, I appreciate you listening to the SoundCloud. Those are most of those songs are just kind of like they're demos or they're stuff that I can't, you know, like the one demo 3000 I think it's called. Like I tried a few vocal melodies on that and just like stuff wasn't clicking and it just wasn't resonating with me. But I liked it a lot as an instrumental, so I just posted it to SoundCloud as an instrumental.
do you see yourself like that one kind of has more of like a rock sound than any of your more so than any of your previous songs.
Yeah, yeah. With those like first songs, like off of Aquarium, like No Way. I know you. I think you've listened to No Way, but I was kind of
I've
using.
listened to all the songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I listened to all of them.
Well, the earlier ones, they kind of got the fake sounding drums, like the 808, like borrowed from rap, sounding drums, fake like sub bass. They sound a little more synthesized. They sound a little less organic. And then the newer stuff, I've been working with, newer sampler instruments, and I've been working with playing like live drums and stuff. So that's made a difference in the way the new stuff sounds. But yeah, that I've been meaning to upload to SoundCloud more, but I've been busy with the formal release.
Yeah, see, I didn't know you had EPs. I thought it was just all singles, because on Spotify, it's only singles. And then
Oh,
SoundCloud,
really?
it's only, at least I didn't notice that there were like EPs on, I thought it was just all singles.
Oh no, yeah. I've dropped 3 EPs and I believe 2 singles. The 2 singles are Comfort Zone and no, 3 singles because Fly Out West was a single. So Fly Out West, Comfort Zone, and
Were those
The Bay.
released, physically?
No, they actually weren't, and that's why I'm working with the record label now. Is because I want to be able to have some physical copies. I mean, the song "No Way," it got added to like a compilation vinyl, so like you can get a Burp compilation vinyl that has that song on it, and then Burp also put "Fly Out West" onto their like vinyl postcard, so you can order one of those. But that's the closest thing I have to physical copies right now. And that's my next goal for this next release, which, like I said, is set for July, and I am gonna have like vinyls and CDs and stuff for that.
Are there any songs of yours that you just don't like anymore at all?
Let me think.
Or do they all hold up?
Like one of the worst ones is probably "Faded." I think that song kind of sucks.
Oh, I like that
I don't
one.
know. Oh, really? Everyone
right.
else likes it. I hear nothing but good stuff about that song. But it's just, I don't know what it is about that song.
I don't think you have any bad songs, but I'm just curious how you feel.
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot. I don't know. I definitely do have bad songs. Just I don't know if I don't like any of the ones that I've released. I kind of like all the ones that I've released. I mean, for like every 5 songs I release, there's like probably 10 or 15 songs that I make.
Right.
So there are other ones out there that I listen back to and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But out of the stuff that I've released, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that don't like it, but I personally like it.
So when can we expect a new song from you?
I've never worked with the record label. I don't know if I'm allowed to say dates or not, but I'm just gonna say May 26th. There's a new song coming out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this episode will probably come out after that, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, no, don't sweat that.
Yeah, May 26th. The song "Spiral Stairs" will be out, and I've been working on these songs in quarantine, so I've been like locked inside my house like a crazy person, just mixing music. I've heard these songs so many times that I'm actually kind of sick, but I'm ready for other people to hear them.
Dude, yeah, I will feel so pumped up about a song, and then 2 weeks later, I'm like, just don't get any sort of feeling from it anymore, even though I know it's good.
Yeah, sometimes I force myself to, like, after I finish the final master of a song, like, I'll force myself, like, to not listen to it for 2 weeks so that I can listen to it through, like, some speakers and get, like, that first feeling again.
That's a good idea. It takes discipline, though.
Yeah, sometimes you notice things that you never noticed before. Like, you'll give yourself, like, 2 weeks without listening to the song, and then you come back to it and you're like, the snare is too loud. Like, it'll be like the most simple thing, like the snare is way too loud.
Yeah, for me recently, the song that I just released, No One Knows, I'm like, why did I not just do an extremely simple drum fill right here? You know, it's like, why did I not just do a double snare thing? Like, I don't know.
Double snare, yeah.
It's the type of thing no one else notices, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that worries me. I try to listen to my songs, like, just a shit ton before I release them so that And there's always stuff like, time goes by and I learn how to do other stuff, and I'm like, man, I wish I knew how to do that on this song. But
Yep,
it's
definitely.
funny. There's a Bane's World song. I can't remember which one it is, but he like obviously forgot to slide the end of the project on Logic or GarageBand. I think he uses GarageBand actually, but he forgot to slide the end of the project to the end of the song. So there's just like 45 seconds of silence at the end of the song. And that's
Nice.
Bane's World, who has like tons of listeners.
That's hilarious.
It kind of adds like a little hint of authenticity, though. I kind of like it.
Yeah, you can't plan that.
Yeah, you could. It would just probably, I don't know. You'd be a weird person if you planned that. But
Yeah, it'd be like a crazy, like, harebrained type of idea
yeah,
to
for
have.
sure.
So what other kind of stuff are you interested in besides music? You been playing any games or watching any movies or anything?
So I'm honestly not a gamer, but because of the quarantine, I've been getting back into it. My parents were weird about games. They thought if they got me like video games growing up, that I would just get like addicted to them and never do anything else. And so I never had like a gaming console growing up, except for a GameCube when I was like a little kid. And I missed the GameCube, so I ordered a GameCube recently for quarantine, and I ordered like all the Tony Hawk games. And so I've
Hell
been
yeah.
binging out on Tony Hawk. I'm like completing levels that I was never able to complete as a child. Just like it's great.
Yeah, that rules.
That's literally the only game I play though. I wish I had a more impressive resume. Not
Oh,
a big gamer.
hey, that just means there's a whole new world of video games for you to dive into when the time comes.
Yeah, when the time is right, the selection will be higher.
Give
So,
yourself up. Give your life to the Xbox.
but oh yeah, that's your big thing on Twitter. Is you're the do you have the
Yeah.
original Xbox
Yeah,
now?
I got, yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, I didn't have an original Xbox growing up, but my friends had one. I was like a Sony kid. But
What's
yeah,
the big thing about the original Xbox that
it's
you
just nostalgic, and it has like one of my favorite games of all time on it, which is
I
Jet
can't
Set
argue with
Radio
that.
Future.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's why I got the GameCube is like video game nostalgia is like such a real thing.
Yeah, I mean nostalgia is huge for me, anyways. But yeah, I mean the Xbox bit is just funny to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it was your name on Twitter for like quite some time.
yeah. So do you watch movies or like YouTube?
Uh Shoot, dude, that's just as boring, honestly. Like, other than making music, like, let's see, I watch TV, but I only watch like reruns of Always Sunny in Philadelphia or King of the Hill. Like, those are like my two shows that I watch.
Those are great
And then,
shows.
yeah, they're good shows. Like, they've proven the test of time for sure. But that's like all I watch. Literally, I binge out on those shows. I like to cook. I like to like walk my dogs. I like to smoke. I mean, I haven't had to give anything up for quarantine. I kind of feel guilty about it because it's like ruining some people's lives, but it's honestly just like giving me more time to do the things I like. So yeah, I kind of feel bad about quarantine, but it's
Yeah, the only thing that I'm really missing is socializing, like in person.
yeah, for sure. I used to play shows with my roommate, like not Yacht Club shows, but we would just play at like little restaurants and like bars around town. And that was how I made most of my money. So I miss the money. And I also just miss like, you know, playing places and playing music and seeing friends,
Yeah.
drinking at bars.
Damn. Well, I hope it comes back soon.
I hope it comes back soon, but I also hope they don't rush it because they're talking about reopening stuff here and our numbers like aren't going down or they're not even plateauing. Like people are just like being stupid. So I hope they don't rush it because
I hope they don't rush it, and I hope that they give us more money in the meantime.
Yeah, dude. Spotify hasn't. No one's asked Spotify to give maybe more than like 0.09 cents to artists per stream. Now would be a good time for that.
Is there any like I don't want to take up your time. I think we're pretty much done. Is
No
there
worries.
anything that like really freaks you out about the music industry? Or is there anything that you discovered since going to school that like really skeeves you out?
Shoot. a lot of stuff does. I'm trying to think of like the best thing like worth mentioning. Uh, I mean, music is the only thing I can see myself like doing. You know, I've known that for a while, but it's like such a scary thing to like make music for a living. So I've always told myself like, oh, I'll be a artist manager. Oh, I'll be a producer. Oh, I'll be like an audio engineer, some other job within music. But the older I get, the more I realize like I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to like make my own songs. So that's pretty scary because to support yourself making your own songs, like you got to be pretty dedicated to it.
Yeah, you gotta get that publishing money, dude.
Yeah, the publishing money's the next step for sure. I gotta start getting like physical copies of the work out there, vinyls and CDs, and I'm trying to do better with merch too.
Oh yeah, you got some merch now?
I made some T-shirts. I only made 60 of them because I had to like pay for them myself.
Yeah.
But they sold. They did good.
Nice. Well, I'll buy a shirt someday when I am not broke.
Dude, I'll send you one. I appreciate you letting me be on the podcast.